Hey everybody, Chef Corso from MONTyBOCA, and welcome to dinner. Welcome to soup. It's a very exciting time. We get to cook soup tonight, and we get to cook soup together. Wherever you are, hope you're doing great. It's a really challenging time for all of us, but we're all in this together. We're figuring it out, and hopefully we can cheers over a virtual bowl of soup tonight. But we are here in the beautiful University of Washington Arboretum. We've been cooped up all day, and we just need a nature dose today, and we're gonna be out here cooking dinner. Hey everybody from Mappy Hour, hey everybody from North Face, from MONTyBOCA, all those crews. If you're not in any of those crews and you're in your own crew, fantastic, welcome. So glad you're here and so glad you're gonna cook with us today. But what are we gonna cook today? We're gonna cook soup, and we're gonna cook white bean and kale soup with lemon. One of my all-time favorite quick, fast meals for both in the kitchen and on the trail. And we're gonna talk about ingredients, gonna talk about packing, and eventually cook this up and share that together. A little bit more about me. I'm head chef and founder of MONTyBOCA, which is a company and a community focused on eating well outside. And we provide recipes, full trip meal plans, and cookbooks for the outdoor community. Nice, handy, pocket-sized cookbook. It's available on montyboca.com. 20 recipes, easy, quick pack-in. The thing about food in the outdoor space is I'm a classically trained chef. I've trained in Napa Valley in northern Italy, but I also like to go outside. And I noticed that the food options for going outside was usually something like this. And for me, this just doesn't cut it. It's dry, it's salty, it's overall expensive, and frankly, there's not a lot of food in here, and I wanted to cook with real ingredients. So I started testing recipes outside to see if we could eat well and eat with fresh ingredients and have that food be a really nice component to our treks. So we have now over 140 trail tested recipes, all online, all free, all quick, easy download. They're formatted for your trail notebook and also formatted for your phone, so you can take them out there in multiple different formats. But the thing is, I want you to be able to eat well and enjoy the experience with fresh ingredients, not out of a bag. I think it's time to cook, because that's what we're here for. So we're making white bean and kale soup, and I've got my camp cook station all set up here. And we're going to talk about a few things today about packing a recipe with fresh ingredients. We're going to talk about beans, because everybody loves talking about beans. We're going to talk about fresh ingredients, talking about packing some spices, and then eventually going to get cooking. So first off, let's talk about beans. So there's a lot of options for beans out there, and for here we have our dried beans. We have canned beans that everybody knows. We also have, I pre-cooked some beans and packed those up for us today. And then also have dehydrated or freeze-dried beans. These are all beans, yes, but they are not the same. What I will say, a lot of these is a great pantry staple for the kitchen, but do not take dry beans specifically on a backpacking trip. Why? Because these need to get soaked for at least 4 hours or overnight, and they need to cook for an hour. So if you take these on a backpacking trip, you will not be eating tonight or really tomorrow. So throw these away for your backpacking trip. But if you do have those at home, the best way to utilize those is to soak them overnight in plenty of water. They're going to expand and about triple in size, so they need plenty of water. And then put them on a simmer for about an hour with a little bit of salt, and they'll be ready to cook, and then they'll turn into something like this. But canned beans work really well and really readily available. But for the backpacking trip, make sure you find some freeze-dried, dehydrated. These are whole beans. There's also flakes out there that are a really great option that cook up almost instantly for a really quick meal. But a lot of options for beans out there. But when you're cooking on the trail, make sure to either take a can, repackage it, or to go for the dehydrated or freeze-dried. No specifically dried for backpacking. Enough about beans, let's cook already. Yeah, Chef Corso talking to us about beans all the time. This is ridiculous. All right, So we are gonna get going with our white bean and kale soup. So if you have the ingredients, you can go ahead and get cooking with us. And what we're gonna do to start off here, let's see what else we got in here. So the first thing that we need to do is chop our ingredients. And the ingredients we have today, this specific recipe has 10 ingredients. It should be ready in about 20 minutes. And we have a full onion already chopped, a couple carrots. And if you're going on the trail, I suggest using some shallots. 2 shallots is equal to about 1 onion. So really great decrease in overall pack volume and pack weight. We're gonna throw a little bit of garlic in there. I'm gonna use fresh today, but you could also use garlic powder. We've got a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we have a bunch of kale. And something to note when you're cooking in your home kitchen and then also in your trail kitchen is to get everything ready before you throw it in the pot, but it's really important when you're cooking outside because you don't want to waste gas. So if I were to turn on my burner here and then go over here to my chopping station and take 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to chop something, I'm wasting a whole bunch of gas here, and that's not going to be helpful for a multi-day trip when you're trying to make breakfast on day 3 and you have no gas. So the idea is that you chop everything first, have everything ready, and then get everybody in the pool. So, I'm going to light up our burner. And we're going to throw in a couple tablespoons of olive oil, or any kind of oil that you have. I'm going to go ahead and throw in our onion and our carrot. And while that's getting up to temp, I'm going to go ahead and chop my garlic. And I'm cooking outside, so I'm figuring out how to chop this in the grass. But the best way to go for peeling garlic is to give it a nice squish. And we're going to hold on to our peels to make sure that we pack that out. Really important not to throw our peels into the bushes for the squirrels to eat. Adding our garlic, and we're going to chop up our head of kale here. And a note on kale is this is dinosaur kale or lacinato kale, but also other varieties are curly in the purple, the green variety. All of them work really well, just a matter of whatever is available and whatever flavor preference that you like. But all of them are going to be really similar. Make sure you pack that out. So this is already starting to saute, which is perfect. Got some really nice color going here. Can already smell that garlic cooking. Another great thing about this recipe, it is naturally vegan, dairy-free, and gluten-free. How is it even possible? I mean, we could just be cooking up like a gluten-free burlap sack, but I don't think that's going to taste very good. But this is going to taste amazing. But if you're not specifically a vegan, you could easily add some chicken. I also love making this soup at home with some Italian sausage, either in link form or in bulk form. Really great option to add. Or some old rotisserie chicken. I'm going to go ahead and put my kale in here. And this kind of looks like a lot, but this is going to cook down quite a bit. And go ahead and add my salt. A little bit of black pepper. And a little bit of water. To help that steam down. And we're going to go ahead and put a lid on that real quick. And while that cooks, something else we're going to talk about is spices. So spices are a great way to add awesome flavor to any dish, but specifically in the backcountry and specifically on the trail, they are really light, and that's really helpful. So options that I like to use for packing up spices is you obviously use the small spice containers that you can get at the grocery store. Small packing bottles. Nalgene bottles have a whole bunch of great options that are really sturdy, really packable. Also, old cosmetic containers or travel containers are really great as well. I'm sure you have a bunch of these in the cupboard that you aren't using. But then also drink tab canisters are really great for some other spices as well. This is some chili flake that we might add a little bit later. And even some old pill bottles can be really great for popcorn or other dry ingredients. But I would cautionary note on this one, do not put liquid ingredients into the pill bottles because the threaded tops are not tight sealing and you're gonna get some stuff on pretty much all your clothes if you use liquids for this guy. But additionally is to be able to put all of your spices in a really nice tote like this, which we actually have these on MONTyBOCA.com. We hand make these in Seattle, Washington. Really great, easy packing. You can throw right in your pack, but that way your spices aren't clamoring around everywhere. Also, additionally, for your utensils, to be able to have all of them together in one area so you know where they are. Really helpful and nice.
We have a viewer who said that they're making it at home tonight. They're adding some chicken kielbasa.
Chicken kielbasa, that's a great option. Yeah, whatever sausage you have, that sounds really awesome. So this is starting to cook down. Oh, it's looking really nice already.
Ooh, another one's adding chicken meatballs.
Chicken meatballs, that sounds really great too.
Love the variety.
So we're gonna go ahead and add our beans here. And these again are dried, but I cooked them last night and repackaged them in an old container. So that's one way you can go here. Or using canned beans works really great. If you don't have dried beans, you could use chickpeas. Garbanzo beans are a really great option. Or I've cooked this recipe many times with a couple potatoes. So all you have to do is throw a couple carrots, a couple shallots, a couple potatoes right in your pack with some water and some spices, and you got dinner.
While that's cooking, I want to offer you all a nice little moment of zen amongst the cherry blossoms, the arboretum here.
Nice. So that's coming together nicely. We're just gonna let that simmer for a few minutes. And some other great additions for this recipe is some cheese, some nice Parmesan cheese. And you know, when you're cooking on the trail, it's a really great opportunity to use up some of the random things that you have in your pantry for some hot sauce packets or spices or any sort of packaged cheese. But like this is leftover from a HelloFresh that I didn't use for the recipe, but this is super packable. Throw it right in there. And that way, if you do like dairy, then you can add that for a nice option. Or, I mean, I've got also a nice block of Parmesan cheese because I have that available. That can be a really great addition as well. Just shave that right on there. feta would be a really great option as well. I love that idea. So everything's in the pot here, and all we're looking for is for that kale to cook down, those carrots to soften, and all those flavors to come together. But for me, this is just absolutely beautiful with the oranges and the greens in here. It's a big difference than the dry, matted, kind of beige colored packaged meals that are out there. And the other thing to note is I'm looking at this is quite a bit of food. This is going to be easily 3 to 4 portions depending on how hungry your hikers are. But if you are needing and using a smaller capacity camp stove, so this is about a 2 liter plus, this is about a 1.5. There are also other options that are about a half to 0.7 liters. This recipe is specifically made for a larger capacity camp stove because I want you to share it and cook together. But you can still cook it in these guys, but maybe cut the recipe in half or cut the recipe in a quarter, and you can still be able to cook in this. But we also have some great resources on MONTyBOCA.com on our packing page about which camp stove to buy, which camp stove to bring along, depending on your trip. If you're going on a solo trip, if you're going with 2 people, if you're going with 4 people. Also some great resources for packing. So how do you pack spices? How do you pack fresh ingredients? So make sure to check those out.
A good question from a viewer is, if you use canned beans, do you need to drain and rinse or just dump it all in?
Great question. Go ahead and throw all of that in there. Especially when you're in the backcountry, that water is really usable, and sometimes you do have to find water and pump water. So using the liquid in here will help decrease the overall amount of water that you need for this recipe. And also, we don't necessarily want to put the canned water out into the bushes. We'd rather put it in our pot. Really good question though. So overall, this is done. If you are cooking this at home, I would suggest cooking it for another 10-15 minutes. The thing about soups is if they cook for an hour or 2, they just continue to get amazing and more amazing as they cook together. But if I'm just finished a 10-mile hike, this is completely edible, it's ready to go. But it's up to you however long you want to cook, but give it another 10 or 15 minutes. But we're going to go ahead and finish this because you don't really need to stare at me all day. And we're going to give it some nice broth here. Oh, that looks great.
It smells delicious.
Go ahead and turn our burner off.
Do you use the stem of the kale?
Yes, you can. It's up to you. This can get a little bit chewy and toothsome, but if you cook it for long enough, this will eventually break down as well. For me, this is food, and I would rather eat it than pack it out. So if I'm on a trip, I'm throwing everything in the pot. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and hit it with a little bit of cheese. And where is my knife? There it is. Some nice shaved Parmesan. Be careful with the knife here. All right. And the last ingredient, arguably the most important, is a nice fresh squeeze of lemon. And if I can give you one tip, the one secret ingredient that you can add to any dish, not just this white bean and kale dish, but inside or outside or anywhere, is acid. So acid, lemon, lime, apple cider vinegar, rice vinegar, adding that little bit of freshness to any dish will make it amazing. And for this guy, again, really important to pack this out, but you could just throw it in your water on a long trek and give you a nice little flavor difference as you're trekking along. But there we have it. White bean and kale soup with lemon. Ready in 10-15 minutes. Quick, easy, nice fresh ingredients. Vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free. Easy to add some cheese or some meat to it. But thanks for joining us. And cheers. Hope you guys enjoy. And as you're cooking this, make sure to tag MONTyBOCA. Make sure to tag Mappy Hour. We want to know how you're doing, how you're cooking, how you're doing out there, how you enjoyed this recipe. But stay tuned for, let's see, when is our next session? Our next session is next Tuesday for lunch. And we are making Tom Yum Noodle Bowl and a Blueberry Lemon Rice Krispie Treat Bowl. And if you've never made a Rice Krispie Treat Bowl outside, it's going to change your life. But thanks for coming along. Cheers. Boca Boca.